But on the other hand, Ebonics speaking students who don't perform well in written tests actually do very well on nonverbal assessments. The reason goes back to the highly oral nature of Ebonics. In the United States, standardized writing is the formal method of communication. So society's power structures may prevent more oral nature language to be held in the same light. In other words, Ebonics is devalued because American society values written skills more so than oral ones. Of course, this is not always the case, but if a person wants to make a reasonable living in the society, knowing how to write is a must. The preference given to writing pokes at the Foucauldian notion of regimes of truth, or the idea that power legitimizes a set of beliefs. Because of those in power deem standard English the formal language of discourse, others are considered inferior or simply wrong. In the end, Ebonics stereotypes persist. You are probably ignorant if you speak it, but again, the delegitimization and ridicule of Ebonics, if one only looks deeply enough, lacks any reasonable foundation. It is the general ignorance of people and the preference of those in power that keep a more positive outlook of Ebonics at bay. Ridiculing Ebonics is ridiculing the culture that it represents. America talks about moving away from racial gaps, but as long as cultural disparities and imbalances like those of language exist, progress will be slow. One of the major problems with English high-stakes tests currently in place is validity for English language learners, including speakers of Ebonics. For example, a test may be designed to assess students' reading comprehension. However, if a student struggles with English, said test is really assessing their English language skills. But this is also true for content like science, social studies, and math tests. Math tests usually include less language bias because of the lack of testing. Obviously, English language learners score the lowest on word problems where it is necessary to be able to read English in order to complete the math. A more valid test might be one in the student's native language. This is particularly true for students who are enrolled in bilingual programs where they are being taught these skills in their native language while learning English. English language learners can receive accommodations in order to help them, but these are by no means sufficient for achieving true test validity. Language bias is also seen with students who speak Ebonics who receive no accommodations. California was actually quite sensitive to this, and in 1981, the California Department of Education implemented the Standard English Proficiency Program for students who speak Black English. Those programs were designed to offer guidelines to educators to help teachers provide standard English proficiency to African American students. Dr. Robert Williams, who invented the term Ebonics, is a psychologist who first developed Black intelligence tests for cultural homogeneity. This was a test that was biased in favor of African Americans. This was in hopes of high-stakes testing diagnosis that don't discriminate against anyone. In his books titled Ebonics, The True Language of Black Folks, Williams described the translation process that he used for substituting words and phrases that were common to the African American experience from the standardized tests that were less familiar linguistically to most African American students. However, these efforts by Dr. Williams occurred almost 40 years ago. Nothing has been put into place on a large scale to address the elephant in the room. I advocate that students who come from homes that speak solely Ebonics receive the same resources as English language learners to attempt to level the playing field in American education. If not, reformative testing practices need to take place where students are able to take tests that are equal bias to the respective cultures and home-spoken languages. If this doesn't happen, I fear resources will continue to be wasted on putting African American children in special education programs when these resources should be put into them mastering standard English through English language learner programs or something similar to what was enacted in California. Furthermore, teacher preparation programs need to incorporate information about Ebonics so that educators aren't perpetuating false views on Black language. Thank you.